learning the fundamentals. It moves to the high school level, where athletes begin to show their wares. The very best move to the college ranks to win the nation's title, and the very best play for the most coveted title of all. But in Florida, there's only one title that matters, the Florida State Championship. Cool, crisp evening in Gainesville, Florida, the site, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. For tonight's Class 6A state championship game featuring the Palm Bay Pirates and the Dillard Panthers. Hi again, everybody. Sean Alvishire here. So glad you could be a part of Sunshine Network's coverage of the Florida Football Finals. And we have the biggest game in the land. Well, classification-wise, Class 6A, it's the largest class in the state of Florida, and the matchup features the Palm Bay Pirates and the Dillard Panthers. First, let's take a look at the road to the finals. First, for the Dillard Panthers out of Fort Lauderdale. They were impressive against North Miami Beach, 51-7. And then you see they had some tight ones, BA, Plantation, and then they defeated Miami-Jackson 6-0 down at Traz Powell last Friday night. For Palm Bay, Riverview, Santa Lucius, Gaither, and then last week at home in the state semis in overtime by 1 against Tallahassee Lincoln. So now it's time to bring in my partner, James Bates. And first, let's start with the team from Fort Lauderdale, the Dillard Panthers. Now, the last time they were in the big school championship game was in 1992, and they lost to Bradenton Manatee. It's taken them 8 years to get back to this big game, and a big part of the reason that they are here is due to their electrifying, the dynamic wide receiver known as Chris Gamble.
Well, I was talking to Dan Burke, the Palm Bay head coach, Sean, and he said that we were very excited to beat Lincoln in a big upset, but our celebration ended when we saw the tape of Dillard, and this guy, number 2, will ruin every party when you see him on tape. He's 6'3", 190-pound senior, 1,200 yards receiving so far this year, 12 touchdowns, and the guy goes up over it, over the middle, like you've never seen before. Great leaping ability, and if Dillard wants to win its first state championship since 1989, it'll be up to number 2.
James, Chris Gamble's bringing back memories of another former Dillard grad, Isaac Bruce. That's how good people think Chris Gamble can be. Now, Melbourne, Palm Bay, a week ago, they defeated the defending champs, Tallahassee Lincoln, so you know they're pretty darn good. And the reason they won was due to the strength of their offensive line, and it's anchored by their center, Mike DeGore.
Mike DeGore, big 6'6", 315-pounder. Now, Steve Spurrier went to the home of DeGore about 2 weeks ago to visit him and his family, obviously trying to get him to come to Florida. He maybe should have waited. Little did they know they would upset Lincoln, and he'd be right here in Spurrier's backyard. But, Sean, 4 backs on this Palm Bay team have rushed for over 500 yards, and it's because of Mike DeGore and that big offensive line. But no rush more important than right behind Mike DeGore, a quarterback sneak for the touchdown to tie it in overtime, or the game-winning score in overtime, to get them here to the state finals.
Now we have to bring in the third member of our broadcast team down to the sideline with Charles Davis.
Thanks, Sean and James. You know, in baseball, the number is everything for guys. Oftentimes, they don't even call you by your name. They just call you by your number. For Marcus Fascia, for Dillard High School, he usually wears number 7. He's wearing number 31 tonight because his jersey was either stolen or misplaced. But he's been able to do that the last couple of games, so he's probably comfortable in 31. Over 1,500 yards in the regular season. I think he can wear any number and still be great. Let's see how he does tonight.
Thanks, Charles. Buckle your seatbelts. It's Melbourne, Palm Bay. It's Fort Lauderdale, Dillard. It's the 6A title game on Sunshine Network coming up next. And welcome to the 2000 Class 6A championship game. Melbourne, Palm Bay versus Dillard. Dillard will be kicking off. Palm Bay will be on offense first as we get ready for the big classification state final. Dan Burke, the head coach of Melbourne, Palm Bay. His team is 11-2, and Joseph Redmond in his second year at Fort Lauderdale Dillard. Last year, in his first year at the school, he got his team to the state semis. In his second, he's gotten them all the way to the finals.
And as always, the best dressed coach in Florida high school football. I'm a little bit disappointed, no suspenders though tonight for Coach Redmond, Sean.
Trevor Howard, number 15, back to receive the kick. Andre Taft will be kicking off for Fort Lauderdale Dillard. And the 6A state championship game is underway, and it is handled by one of the young men for Palm Bay, Kenny Hammock. And Hammock gets it out to the 42. 19-yard return. The Palm Bay offense is led by the quarterback, Charles Kleinschnitz. 900 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Of course, he scored the game winner a week ago on a quarterback sneak in overtime, and immediately they go to the ground with Jason Fritz, and Fritz picks up a couple. Let's take a look at the Palm Bay offense. First, the backs and receivers for the Pirates. Edwards, Fritz, who just carried the ball, Cohen, Nellums, and Hammock. Emery, Svetkovic, DeGore, Brunson, and Harper are the men up front. 5 seniors on the line for Palm Bay. To the ground. Reggie Edwards off the right side, nowhere to go. And that'll bring up third down. Stanford Rule with the tackle. The Panther defense, Davis, Askew, Thomas, and Collins up front. Rule, he just made the tackle. Vines and Golden are the backers. And in the secondary, Harrison, Yergin, Cleveland, and Goodwin. Chad Cleveland, the free safeties, had a heck of a playoff run here in these 2000 playoffs. On 3rd and 7, they go to the air, the completion to Terrell Nellums, and Nellums has a first down. Very close to being picked. The close doesn't count as Nellums hauls it in. First down as they get down to the 40 of Fort Lauderdale Dillard. 14-yard gain.
Very dangerous pass all the way across the field. Just a little hitch play, and Yergin goes for the big play rather than the tackle and just misses making that big play. And it's a first down, Palm Bay. Big conversion.
1st and 10. They go to the fullback. And Fritz picks up a couple.
Right off the bat, we're getting Palm Bay football. This is what they've done all season long, and especially on through the playoffs. They just wear people down, Sean. And Coach Redmond says he's a little bit worried because they play such sound football. Very well-coached football team, strong football team, especially up front. And you've got to hang in there tough because they will pound at you and wear you down. And you take a look at that big offensive line. There's DeGore. And you saw right, 6'10", Jeff Harper, number 76. He's a big guy, too.
To the ground. Joe Cohen picks up about 5, brought down by Stanford Rule. Second tackle of the game for the Cardinal, Stanford Rule.
Here's Joe Cohen, little misdirection. Joe Cohen, just a sophomore, started this season on the defensive side, and Coach Burke said he was just trying to think a little bit too much over there. They moved him to offense. All you've got to do is just run and run straight. Not too much thinking on that play. And there's your guy, DeGore.
To the ground again. Dan Hornick. And he will be short of a first down. Bring up 4th and 2, and it's decision time early on for Coach Dan Burke. Stanford Rule once again. 3 tackles on this opening drive.
Stanford Rule in the Dillard Panther defense showing that Palm Bay isn't going to be able to dance around. You've got to find your hole and hit it full speed. If you take a false step, dance around a little bit trying to find something, too many guys are going to catch up with you. Too much speed, and it's Stanford Rule, the senior linebacker.
They're going for it. Full house backfield. 4th and 2. And they might get a free pass.
They got him. Ben Askew, number 95. The stud defensive tackle jumping off sides.
Encroachment on the defense. 5 yards.
And it is.
First
Here,
down.
watch 95, you'll see. Barking out the cadences, Kleinschnitz, and just getting the snap off is the senior DeGore. And Charles bringing up a good point. Askew did not participate in pre-game warm-ups, so maybe a little bit rusty here early, trying to get in the groove with everybody else. He had an equipment problem of all things.
Our officials tonight are out of Fort Myers. Ken Reese is our head official tonight. To the ground, Joe Cohen. And Cohen picking up 5. And that front 5 from Palm Bay mashing the front 4 from Dillard. Rule, another tackle along with Cleveland.
Here's a look at Stanford Rule. Watch him from that middle linebacker spot. He takes on the big man. Shucks him. Good job by the senior. And Sean, Stanford Rule's a good example of if you can't beat him, join him. Of course, Dillard being Plantation's big nemesis, and he transferred over from Plantation last spring. What a nice transfer. He's got to come in.
To the ground. Courtney Johnson, the ball carrier. He's going to be tripped up. Matthias Askew getting his hands around the ankles of Johnson, and that'll bring up a 3rd and 3. Big boy. Matthias Askew, 6'7", 280 pounds.
And very interesting matchup going head-to-head with the other big boy, Mike DeGore, number 73 for Palm Bay.
Out of the eye. Stanford Rule. Ball's on the ground. Stanford Rule came flying through, forcing the fumble. Reggie Edwards probably didn't know what hit him.
Earlier today, we saw some good linebacker play in the 2A state championship game from, wow. Gulliver Prep had a couple linebackers making plays all over the field, and here's Stanford Rule. He's made almost every single play on defense, and watch him light up that fullback, and not only light him up, but get off of him and make the tackle.
Chase Pickett. The kick is up, and it is good. From 39 yards away. 3-0, Palm Bay in the lead. So we are going to take a break. Melbourne, Palm Bay, they're not just happy getting here, they want to win it. They lead 3-0. Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Melbourne, Palm Bay. They take the opening drive, march all the way down, and get a 39-yard field goal by Chase Pickett. And they lead this one with 6:37 remaining in the first quarter, 3-0.
And there's a look at Chase Pickett, the kicker, a guy who learned from Matt Teague in Keystone Heights. Matt Teague used to kick here in the swamp.
Pickett booms it into the end zone. And you have to think, number 1 for Pickett is to not let Gamble return one. Let's take a look at this field goal. Watch what happens to Pickett. He booms it through, but watch what happens at the end of this. Now, you explain to me how that's not roughing the kicker.
Wow. Fortunately.
Because it was tackling the kicker. There's a difference, I guess.
Lighting up the kicker.
There's the quarterback for Fort Lauderdale Dillard. What a season this young man has had. The Butler did do it. 2,300 yards, 24 TDs, only 7 picks. And immediately going to the air, getting it out to Gamble. And Gamble going nowhere. Let's take a look at that Panther offense. Backs and receivers, Marcus Faison, Deacle, Leroy Aiken, Chris Gamble, and Alfred Osborne up front. McClover, only a sophomore. Berger, McClendon, Hay, and Nigel Seaman.
Well, Sean, right off the bat, Mike Miller, I went out to Palm Bay High School doing some research on this game last week to meet with these guys. Coach Burke said Mike Miller will be on Gamble all day long. The rest he's not too sure about, but one thing, he's going to try to tie out Mike Miller.
Butler, he's going to tuck it under, and he's going to be brought to the ground. Reggie Nelson with the tackle. And that'll bring up 3rd and 5 for the Panthers. The Palm Bay defense. Up front, Carter, Tiramina, Berger, Boyd, and Benson. Nelson and Stovall are the backers. And in the secondary, Mike Miller, G.T. Miller, Carpenter, and Trevor Howard.
Good stop by the sophomore, Reggie Nelson, number 1. These linebackers, they're freed up the defensive line. They tie up those offensive linemen. These linebackers run around and make every single tackle, it seems like, watching these guys on tape.
Butler finds some time. He throws. Overthrows his intended receiver, Alfred Osborne. And Palm Bay forces a 3-and-out against the high-powered Dillard Panther offense.
3-and-out, Sean. You can tell from Terrence Butler just skidding around a little bit here in the backfield that he's got some big playability in him. Look at him fire the ball down the field. And it's 3-and-out for the Palm Bay defense. A huge stance, keeping the momentum on their side. But you can tell we may be in for a shootout here tonight in the swamp.
Tristan Aldinger stands at his 10. Trevor Howard stands at his own 40. And out come the flags. We're going to have some movement. Looks like number 12 from Dillard, Sam Yergin, jumping a little early.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. 5 yards, still 4th down.
Watch the right side, number 12. Whoop. Just a little.
He tried to square back up, and it doesn't matter. You got that little flinch. That's all it took.
Low liner. Howard gets it at midfield. And Howard, return of 3 yards, 30-yard punt from Aldinger. Demetric Westbrook. Great hustle on special teams, making the tackle. There's Trevor Howard. What a season this young man had. 10 interceptions for Melbourne Palm Bay this year.
And here's a look at it. Watch Dimitri. Good open field tackle. Just great coverage on the punt team, and not much room to run for Palm Bay. But still good field position as they start off already in Dillard territory.
To the ground with Hornig. Hornig has a hole. Hornig still on his feet. And he gets down to the 23. 22-yard gain. Looks like they're going to rule him out at the 25, but Hornig giving Palm Bay a first down. You see his season, 483 yards, 6 TDs.
And yes, that last name does look familiar, a relative of Paul Hornig. But watch number 58, number 42, 58, Rob Brunson, the offensive lineman, and 42, Jason Fritz. They're who make this play happen. In behind him, it's Big Dan Hornig, one of many 500-yard rushers on this team.
Going nowhere. This time it looked like number 52 coming knifing through Devin Collins for the Panthers.
Oh, his own lineman.
Look like, what, number 59, Bata Svetkovic. Or actually, it was 69, Mike Emery. I have to make sure my statistician credits the lineman for the tackle. 2nd and 13. Kleinschnitz throws. It's going to be caught. Dan Hornig hauls it in. That'll bring up 3rd and 8. Aiken with the coverage.
Great break there by the defensive back from Dillard, number 1, Leroy Aiken. Nice burst, reading it. It was a great catch and throw, but to break on that ball, Aiken really doing a good job coming up, making a big tackle open field.
Here's Leroy Aiken, number 1. He also plays a little offense as well. 3rd and 8. They're going to go to the screen. Get it out to Hornig. Horning has some blockers. He gets down to the 15. He needed to get in between the 14 and 15 for a first down. Kareem Goodwin brings him down. It's going to come down to a mark. It's very close. I believe he got it.
Well, you see Horning's got that elbow wrapped up a little bit. He missed the first couple of games with an elbow injury, but ever since then, Palm Bay and Horning have been running things, and this is a great screen pass. They're going to have to bring the chains across, it looks like, and measure very close. But happy to have this guy back are the Pirates after they lost the first 2 games of the season, but since then, they've won every single one of them, Sean.
6'6", 310-pound Mike DeGore walked over to the officials to see if his team got a first down. You know, when you have Mike DeGore standing 2 feet from you, you might just go ahead and agree with him. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, first down. Whatever you need. Whatever you want, sir.
You guys don't really need to measure that, do you? Excuse me, sir.
Oh, no, Mike.
First and 10. This time they go to Fritz. No gain.
Fritz on the carry.
And Jake, you have to give credit to Palm Bay. They seem to be using Dillard's over-aggressiveness on Dillard against them by going to quick traps, quick counters, and even some screen passes.
That's one of the things you have to do, but when you hit that trap or when you hit that screen pass, you've got to make things happen quick. Obviously not on a screen pass. You let things set up a little bit and then you hit it. But on traps, you're right, Sean, but you've got to hit that hole fast because you can't skitter around back there in the backfield or they'll make you pay for it with all that team speed. And you see that a lot in a lot of the gang tackles.
Who has the high-powered offense? So far, Palm Bay out distancing Dillard 64 to 5. Touchdown, Palm Bay, Joe Cohen. Let's take one more look at this, and this was right up the gut, led by Mike DeGore. Cohen following his center to the end zone.
And they love that little trap play right there.
Chase Pickett puts it up, it's good. Watch Mike DeGore, the center. He might be the best player in the state of Florida. Get out of my way. And Palm Bay leads this one 10-0. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Nextel. How business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9. James, Joe Cohen puts Palm Bay up 10-0.
Well, you got to feel for that defensive line having to deal with big DeGore. And a good run by the sophomore Cohen. It's Brandon Witherspoon. Watch number 91 just driven back by Svetkovic. And, of course, Mike DeGore. Now, watch DeGore at the end. You think this guy, there's anything nice about this guy? Look. Just look at that. The guy you love to hate if you're playing against him.
Pickett booms it into the end zone, and Dillard will come out on offense on their own 20. You talk to any coach who had to go up against Palm Bay, and they will tell you that Mike DeGore annihilated them. There was nothing they could do to stop that young man. 6 plays, 46 yards, and a lot of skill kids. DBs, linebackers get MVP awards, but you have to argue that so far Mike DeGore has been the difference in this game.
Well, I'll give you an interesting story on that guy after this play.
Dillard on offense. Terrence Butler hands it off to Marcus Faison. Faison, the junior, picking up 7. Go ahead, James.
Well, Mike DeGore, we went and did a story on him for the high school lecture on Sunshine Network just last week, and you can tell just by talking to him, Sean, if he were to win some of these awards, They'd probably go right in that trash can behind him. He cares nothing about cameras, publicity, anything. It reminds me a lot of an old teammate of mine, Zach Tiller, here at the University of Florida. It's just like everything's like, yeah, whatever. Just a typical offensive lineman. You got to love the guy because he's just so hardcore and rough. And we see that in his play, and you also see it in some of the interviews and stuff. But a great football player. It's going to be a big catch for a lot of these schools, or one school next year. A lot of the schools after him took a trip to Michigan State last weekend.
2nd and 2. Faison breaks into the secondary, and Dillard gets their first down of the ball game with 1:22 remaining in the first quarter. Tyrone Benson bringing Faison down.
Well, over 1,500 yards for Faison on the year, and a good job blocking by number 4, Patrick Deckley.
First and 10 for the Panthers. And they're starting to get a little movement of themselves up front. This time they go to Deagle. He lowers the boom, picking up about 5 or 6.
Well, Dillard trying to give Palm Bay a little bit of their own medicine, trying to pound it away a little bit, and been successful the last couple plays. As you see, a nice surge. That offensive line for Dillard. Not a bunch of small fries either. So we've got the big boys here playing tonight in this 6A championship game on both sides of the ball.
Faison meets George Taormina. And on 2nd and 3, Taormina keeps Dillard away from a first down, and this should bring up 3rd and 1.
Number 44, Taormina, transferred over from Melbourne Central Catholic School right up the road, and actually a school that offensive lineman Jeff Harper, his father's a coach there, JV coach, varsity assistant at Melbourne Central Catholic.
3rd and 1. Faison to the ground. He reaches forward, but it's going to come down to a mark.
I don't think
he
got
looks short.
Yeah, Sean, I don't think he got it. That's the end of the quarter. They may have to bring the sticks out before we switch sides, but it looks to be short. And there's Reggie Nelson. You talk about a big play guy. He was the one that blocked the extra point against Lincoln in overtime last week in the semifinals to send these Palm Bay Pirates here to the Swamp. And Reggie's just a sophomore, just a puppy dog, 6 foot, 180 pounds.
We've come to the end of the first quarter. We're just awaiting to see if it's 1st and 10 or 4th and 1, and you can see it's a good 4th and 1. Palm Bay had a decision to make earlier in this game on a 4th and 1. They went for it. They got it. Fort Lauderdale Dillard is going to have some time to think about it as we've come to the end of the first quarter, but they trail by 10. The situation is 4th and 1, and they trail 10-0. We've come to the end of the first quarter. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are brought to you by Checkers. High performance, human fuel. It's 4th and 1. Dillard is on their own 47-yard line, and they're lining up to go for it. Butler moves under center. Are they going to snap it? Yes, they are. And they got it. Deagle picks up the first down for the Panthers. In the first quarter, it was all Palm Bay, James. Palm Bay 77 yards to Dillard's 32.
Watch off the spot. Deagle, great job of spot. Full head of steam, gets low underneath the big defensive lineman. First down and a big first down. And you know what? The linebacker for Palm Bay lined up in a gap on the other side of the ball. Had he stayed off the line, he could have flowed either way and maybe made a hit on that and tried to stop the first down attempt.
1st and 10, offset formation. They go to the ground. Faison. And Faison driven backward. Forward progress will make it a loss of 1. Justin Stovall, the junior. young man who's had a pretty good year for the Pirates.
Oh, second in the team in tackles. And Sean, watch him. If you can see him here in your picture, he lights up the fullback, the blocker, gets rid of him. These guys, we've got some good linebacker play in this game. Stovall, Nelson, and then, of course, on the other side, Stanford Rule. But Stovall using those hands to separate. You can't let those offensive linemen or fullbacks get into your body. Hard to get rid of them. He gets rid of them with his hands, goes off and makes a big tackle. Great play by the defender.
The toss to Faison. Faison avoids the initial hit, dives forward, picks up about 6.
Reggie Nelson, the sophomore on that play, talked about earlier, tried to go back and make a big play behind the line of scrimmage rather than just wrapping up. He tried to go for the big kill shot, and he didn't quite get it, so falling ahead for Dillard is number 31.
On the season, Marcus Faison, 1,580 yards in this game. 8 carries, 25. You can see he's their workhorse. Terrence Butler lines up in the gun. We haven't heard much from Gamble in this game. Their flags come flying. Butler puts the ball on the ground. Reggie Nelson, I think, is the man who recovers it for Palm Bay.
Now, there is a flag on the play up top, Sean, but I think it's going to be holding on Dillard, and the whole Dillard offensive team is coming off the field, so they must think so too, and it is. I think what happened is one of the offensive linemen up top got really run over, and as an offensive lineman, your first instinct is to grab and pull that guy down with you. One out of embarrassment.
We had holding on the offense. That penalty is declined. First down.
Watch what will be the right side of the offensive line. See if you see a couple guys falling down. You can't quite see it in the picture. It doesn't matter. It's declined, but here comes this fumble. And there's Reggie Nelson with the big strip, the big hit first on Terrence Butler, and then the strip. And it's Palm Bay ball.
Palm Bay, they want to get organized. They ask for a timeout, so they take a timeout. So do we. We're early in the second quarter. Palm Bay, they're leading by 10. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. Well, Palm Bay, they're winning the field of position battle. They're averaging their own 47. And Dillard, they're averaging on their own 20, and Dillard giving them yards here, jumping off sides. Joe Redmond. He came to statewide attention a couple years ago as coach of the Jackson Generals in the infamous Soul Bowl. Ball's on the ground. Palm Bay has recovered. Reggie Nelson, wherever the ball is, that's where Reggie Nelson is. That's his second fumble recovery in about 30 seconds.
Well, that time he helps out his offensive buddies keeping the ball on the Palm Bay side, but let's watch number 55, the linebacker. If you can find him. Okay, here we go. Watch number 55. Watch him right here on the bottom of your screen. Boom, puts that head down right on the ball. Good form tackle. What a lick. And Dillard should have fallen on that football, just missing it. And Reggie Nelson saving the day.
2nd and 8. Reggie Edwards picking up 3. Or excuse me, Joe Cohen. So that'll bring up 3rd and short 5, long 4 for the Pirates. There's Coach Dan Burke getting his team to the state championship game. Last year, long way to go. He knows it. Last year, getting his team to the state semis, they lost to Tallahassee. Lincoln this year, upending them by 1. Kleinschnitz is going to get sacked. The ball's on the ground.
And I think Palm Bay got that one back too, Sean. We'll have to check. They did.
Holy cow. How many Dillard players in the last two fumbles were right there next to the ball, and somehow Palm Bay, they're like magnets with the recovery. That time, Bata Svetkovic recovering.
Well, it's going to be big Devin Collins, the right tackle, number 52. Watch him lay the lumber. Boom, on Kleinschnitz. That's the 54th sack of the year by Dillard. And look at all the blue jerseys it goes through before Bata Svetkovic, number 59, comes over and falls on top of it.
Dante Moffitt, the punter, and he gets off a booming punt, but flags on the play. A false start penalty against the Pirates backs them up 5. Moffitt got off a good punt, but you have to think one of the tactics for Palm Bay and Coach Dan Burke is to do whatever it takes not to put the ball in the hands of Chris Gamble. Gamble stands at his own 20. There he is. Well, they kicked to him anyway. Gamble having some problems. Great coverage by Palm Bay as they knock Gamble out at the 17, 44-yard kick. Reggie Nelson, George Thomas Miller with the hustle on special teams.
Dillard coming after that punt all the way. There wasn't a single blue jersey down there to help out Chris Gamble. He tried to make something out of it, but watch all these white jerseys finally converge on number 2 as Dillard went for the punt block and no one left to block and hold it up for Chris Gamble. And there you go. There's number 1, the sophomore, Reggie Nelson, man of the week last week, down there making another tackle on special teams.
To the ground. Faison going nowhere.
Dan Carter, number 46, defensive end. Defensive captain. Calls all the plays on this defensive line for his Palm Bay Pirates.
Second and 8. Or a long 9, I should say. To the air. Looks like it's hauled in by Alfred Osborne, very close to a Dillard first down.
Now Dan Burke and his staff very worried about number 2, Chris Gamble, but Coach Burke also said that every one of these guys can catch the football. He said, we'll put Mike Miller on Chris Gamble, but everybody else, your guess is as good as mine. We're going to do whatever we can. Look at him, just tower over number 46, Dan Carter. He goes up for the ball, high points that ball, gets a big catch, but still a yard short of a first down.
3rd and 1. Ooh, this is going to be close. Deacle, the ball carrier. And from where the one line judge is standing, it doesn't look like they have enough. They're actually holding up the fist. 4th down. And this might be too deep.
Well, there's
Dillard's territory to go for it.
There's your problem, trying to go for it on the 2nd, 3rd and 1. And big Don Bird, 5'9", 340-pound junior. I'd say that guy's pretty tough to move against the run in there. And in this territory, you cannot go for it on 4th and 1. Remember, last time 4th and 1, they went for it and got it easily. This time you just can't take the chance that far back in your own territory.
Aldinger whistles. We might have a delay against the Panthers.
Prior to the snap, delay offense. 5 yards, remains 4th down.
Four penalties, 20 yards for Dillard. Palm Bay, only 1 for 5.
Now, Aldinger had a punt block versus St. Thomas Aquinas in our broadcast earlier this year, Sean.
High snap. Aldinger does a great job getting it, but he gets off kind of a poor punt. Takes a Panther roll. And it rolls to the Palm Bay 46. 32-yard kick. Wasn't pretty, but effective. 5:05 remains in the first half. Palm Bay leads Dillard 10-0. Coach Dan Burke, he wants to be physical. That's what he teaches at Melbourne Palm Bay. He wants to beat you up. And that's what his team has done in this playoffs, and that's what they've done in this game.
And from the looks of him and his coaching staff, they practice what they preach. Probably the biggest coaching staff in Florida.
Yeah, if you don't do what they say, they beat you up. To the ground. Courtney Johnson. Oh. And out come the flags. Some frustration from the Panthers. Boy, that's the wrong sideline with that coaching staff over there.
Well, guys, you got to be aggressive, but you've got to be aggressive sidelines to sideline. And you can't take it out of bounds, and that's exactly what happens. They're going to tack on 15 yards at the end of this play.
Waiting for the official word.
A dead ball, personal foul, late hit out of bounds on the defense.
Well, Courtney Johnson trying to turn the corner, and he's going to get his bell rung. Stanford rule.
Take your pick. You've got Stanford rule, and then you've got out of bounds. You've got number 51, Demetrius Bell, who after Stanford hits him, go ahead and runs him into the bench a little bit more.
He had an even later hit.
Late hit and a later hit.
1st and 10. Ball's on the ground. And I don't think Palm Bay was this lucky. I think Dillard's finally got one. And they do. Dwayne Golden, the senior, hauls it in. And finally, Dillard catches a break.
This is just right on the handoff. Good camera work there, giving you a pretty picture of it.
Hornick never had it.
Never had it. Number 55, Dwayne Golden, got in there and jumped on it. He caused the big fumble earlier. They didn't get it, but this time Golden and the Panthers are lucky enough to have it. And the ball belongs to the blue.
Well, this could be gamble time. He's to the near side. Twins to the far side. But once again, with Dillard, it looks like it's more penalty time as flags come flying.
A dead ball, snap infraction on the offense. That's 5 yards, still first down.
Well, I don't know if we can see this, but I guess the center flinched a little bit with the ball. That being number 59, Anthony McClendon, moving back 5 yards. Well, you talked about Joseph Redmond at Jackson. Sean, what a big win for him last weekend versus his old team, the Jackson Generals. We'll get into that as it goes on. Great story.
Butler throws, and this ball's going to be intercepted. Dan Carter steps in front of the Butler pass, and Palm Bay is in business. So it looks as if Dillard finally catches a break, recovering the fumble. Dillard runs one offensive play, and it's back in Palm Bay's hands. Dan Carter with the INT.
Well, the senior doing what I promised you. The coaches tell him, watch him there at the left of your screen. He's just reading the quarterback, dropping into zone. That's just dropping into curl. That's what he does every day in practice. You get in the games a lot of times, and guys will float around on you a little bit. You just sit there and sit in your curl drop, and that's just what Dan Carter did. The ball's thrown right to him. An easy interception for number 46, and it's right back in Palm Bay's hands.
For the second time, Palm Bay starts in Dillard territory. Courtney Johnson lowering his shoulder, picking up around 6.
Beginning of the broadcast, we talked about all these 500-yard rushers, and number 5, Courtney Johnson, is one of them. And watch that offensive line. When you've got those guys to run behind, Sean, You might want to add a couple more because we could go down there and run for a few hundred yards ourselves tonight. Those big guys blocking up front. Emery, Stakovic, DeGore, Brunson, Harper, Hammock.
To the ground, Joe Cohen. Down to the 21, first down for the Pirates, 4:01 on the clock.
There's a look at the linebacker play, defense. Those offensive linemen getting at them. That's one thing the Palm Bay defensive line does well. They hold up those offensive linemen, giving Reggie Nelson and Justin Stovall time to run around and make all the tackles. That time, Jeff Harper and the rest of the offensive line getting right in the face of the linebackers, and they can't move around and make the play.
To the ground with Courtney Johnson, and he picks up about 5.
With the 500 rushers, we said Courtney Johnson, Horning, Reggie Edwards, Jason Fritz. And one thing about them, no matter who has the ball, they may have different numbers, but it's all the same result so far tonight. At the end of the play, they're going to be falling forward. You see, a lot of the guys, there's Aiken stepping up and making the tackle, but he ends up on his back. Courtney Johnson running powerful.
Johnson once again the ball carrier. He's stacked up at the 16, maybe a gain of 1. That'll bring up 3rd down. Dwayne Golden with the tackle.
Those LBs flying around. Speaking of LBs linebacker and LB's pounds, baby. 245 pounds on that guy, number 55. But he doesn't move like it. He moves like about a 205-pounder, like little Reggie Nelson on the other side. He's only 180. It just shows that with the heart, anybody can play that position.
To the ground, this time with Joe Cohen. But Cohen looks to be short of a 1st down. It's going to be very close. Kenny Hammock was already given the sign, though, for the Pirates' 1st down. Of course, Kenny Hammock, 6'1", 215. It's probably a little more impressive when DeGore comes out and tries to give that sign. Here comes DeGore. He's walking over to the chains. You really don't need those chains, do you, sir?
That joke will work all night long, Sean.
He's standing there. That's a 1st down. That's a 1st down, Mr. Referee.
What are you kidding? What are you kidding?
1st down, that's just what I said. That's just what I told you, sir.
Coach, I was trying to tell him. Look, hey, don't make me walk up there again, sir.
Oh, man. Sean, you guys got to watch the high school lecture. You want to see this guy in interview?
He's a character.
He is. Characters on all sides of the ball. Look at him.
I think Mike DeGore wants us to take a commercial break, so we will. Palm Bay, they lead Dillard 10-0. Mike DeGore wanted us to come back on camera, so we did. And you're right, it doesn't get old.
No.
He is just awesome.
Well, 2 minutes to go. One thing DeGore's coaches want is this Palm Bay squad to get into the end zone before halftime.
1st and 10, they're running right behind DeGore with Jason Fritz. Gain of a couple.
And we're seeing 2 very good counties square off here tonight. Brevard County, strong county. We saw Titusville Astronaut here yesterday in a big game against Glade Central. And, of course, Broward County, very competitive. St. Thomas Aquinas, Plantation. We've got all kinds of good teams coming from that area. And 2 teams that really aren't that far apart. In the 2A matchup earlier, we had Gulliver Prep from Miami and Marianna from way over in the Panhandle.
The toss. And Johnson puts the ball on the ground. And it's going to be picked up. Dillard recovers. Joseph Harris. And the Dillard Panther defense, they needed a big play. They could not let Palm Bay get some more points, and they come up with the fumble. Johnson putting the ball on the ground. Harris with the recovery.
And look at the hand of Aiken, number 1, coming across, slapping that ball out. And good thinking, number 24, Joseph Harris, picks up the football and tries to get back down to the other end. There's just a minute left in this first half. And that's plenty of time for Dillard and their high-powered offense to move something, but they haven't been able to do it yet, haven't been able to find that end zone. We're going to get a timeout by Palm Bay.
Palm Bay calls their second timeout. They want to talk things over after the turnover. James, Dillard trails this one 10-0. They've really been out-muscled for the entire first half. What's Coach Redmond going to do here in the final minute and then talk to his boys at halftime about?
Well, I think you try to get some kind of positive feeling in your crew, whether you drive it down and get a nice drive together and just prove to yourselves that you can do it. Just hopefully get down there and get some points on the board. Just get a good taste in your mouth as you go to the locker room at halftime. They've got the kind of offense that can get it down there. Palm Bay, as you see, is an offense that'll chip away at you a little bit. And the way the field position's gone so far, Palm Bay has started with the short field each time, and that's not what you want to do. You want that offense to try to work for every first down they get all the way down the field, and hopefully you can stop them at one point. Dillard, on the other hand, they've had to go what seems like the length every time they get the ball.
Here's Joseph Redmond. James, you and I were there in the Soul Bowl 2 years ago, the state semifinals. The Jackson Generals were on their way to the swamp with just a few ticks on the clock left. Ronnie Jones, the punter, fumbled the ball. Northwestern had one crack. They got it, and the Bulls went on to win the title. But Joe Redmond has found redemption at Dillard. Patrick Deacle, the ball carrier, picks up a couple.
He sure found redemption last week. He won't admit it, but it had to feel good deep down inside. That big victory, 6-0 over his old Jackson Generals. A lot of familiar faces wearing that green and gold on the other side of the field. 6-0. Well, shoot, bunch of close games in these playoffs. 14-7 over Plantation the week before, so they've been in the tight ones.
They haven't been big scores, but they won, and they're trailing right now. Back to the action. 58 ticks on the clock here in the first half. Butler in trouble. He's sacked. George Taramina throws Butler to the ground.
Well, Sean, you asked what Coach Redmond wanted. This is one thing he didn't want. And if you're Palm Bay, you might want to think about calling a timeout now.
You're absolutely right, 3rd and 18, but actually Dillard is the team that calls timeout.
46 ticks left.
And that's surprising. You would think after 3rd and 18, and maybe they're just like trying to get to the locker room.
Well, you've got an offense that can put points on the board. You know, 10-0, that's not a great big deficit to go in the locker room at halftime. They're going to get the ball when they come out in the second half on the kickoff and calling a timeout, and that just saves Palm Bay. Palm Bay with one timeout left and saves them an opportunity. They make a big stop here. They can use that timeout and then see if they can put some points on the board. They've got to make the stop first.
Well, James, I was going to ask you, Chris Gamble has only one touch in this ballgame, and that was on a punt return, which he only returned about 3 or 4 yards. I was like, you know, they have to get the ball in the hands of Chris Gamble. Well, when Butler has no time to throw the ball, there's not much they can do unless they direct snap it to Chris Gamble.
Or put him on defense. He had that game-winning interception last week, and just very rarely used on defense. He can out-jump everybody else. That's what they did, but
Butler throws, and he finds Faison. And Faison, he was trying to be one man. Dante Moffitt couldn't do it, but if he did, he had nothing but green ahead. 26-yard gain. So it works out. Dillard calls a timeout on 3rd and 18. They get 26, 37 ticks left.
Yes, and Terrence Butler and Joseph Redmond, they had different things in mind. They thinking first down. We were thinking maybe 4th down punt, turn it over with all that field to go, but making it look easy is Terrence Butler.
Butler's going to keep it, but he's going to be in the middle of the field, and that's all Palm Bay wants. Keep him in the middle of the field. Arkeith Brown knocks him down. And Dillard will use their final timeout. And with one timeout left, that was kind of a strange play call with only 28 seconds remaining, James.
Yes, it was. You've got to get to that sidelines and get out of bounds, and it's pretty hard to get out of bounds when you run the draw right up the middle on quarterback draw, but hoping they can break something out the gate and knowing they've got one touchdown left. Terrence Butler is a weapon, but it would have taken a lot to get past those sticks and get out of bounds.
On the season, quarterback Terrence Butler has thrown for 2,596 yards, 29 touchdowns. In this game, he's only 3 for 5 for 36 yards. And, of course, 26 of those came on that last completion to Marcus Faison. So Butler can throw the ball around, and he can put up some pretty big numbers. That's probably why it was so surprising that they called the draw.
Well,
when they're working against the clock.
He has had some success running the football. Well, only a 1-yard run, but a big 1-yard run last week against Jackson. That was the only touchdown in the game, 6 points, and obviously the game-winning score. But it was Terrence Butler who scored those points.
And that wasn't a sneak. He had to run about 30 yards to the pylon to get that 1 yard. To the air. Butler throws. There are flags on the field as he gets it to Deacle. That'll be enough for the first down. This might be all coming back. Holding against the Panthers. And the screen pass. These are some strange play calls with 30 seconds, now 22 seconds left in the half.
They are, but at least they're throwing the football. We watched a frustrating Marianna squad earlier.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards. Repeat second down.
In the 2A finals, as they call off the holding. But Marianna, Sean, with under 2 minutes, down 3 scores going into score, and took their time, ran the ball a few times, and puttered the clock away. And it looks like maybe the right tackle over there, I think, Nigel Seaman, holding on. Dillard's got that D on the hat, a lot like the old Tom Landry Dallas Cowboy hat he used to wear.
On 2nd and 21, Butler throws. He completes it to Deacle. And Deacle runs backwards. And that'll be the final play of the first half. George Taramina with the pressure on Butler, forcing him to dump it off to Deacle. And maybe the reason they're not throwing deep is Butler has no time to throw it deep. Pound them into extinction. Wow. Palm Bay, they mean business. And another guy that means business is Charles Davis. Let's head down to the field. Charles.
Thanks, Sean. Coach got off to a quick start. How about your assessment for the rest of the first half?
Look, we're giving them we had a lot of opportunities, put a lot more points on the board, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot. You know, I feel like we should have a few more points on the board than we do now, be a lot more comfortable.
When you go into the half and talk to your team about adjustments, other things, what are you going to talk to them about?
Well, just protecting the football. I mean, you know, you go in talking about it, but you get into a big game, and some kids, you know, maybe they get a little flighty on you, but protect the ball a little better, and I think we'll be okay.
Feel pretty good about your chances?
I like them right now.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck to you in the second half. Sean, back to you.
Well, we know that Charles Davis doesn't ever get flighty on us. We have reached halftime of the Class 6A state championship game. Palm Bay leads Dillard 10-0. Halftime continues. The Class 6A championship game. Palm Bay leads Fort Lauderdale Dillard 10-0. And Charles Davis has the head coach for Fort Lauderdale Dillard, Joe Redmond, with him. Charles.
Thanks, Sean. Coach Redmond, a quick start by Palm Bay. Seemed like you guys had a little trouble getting into gear. How do you feel about the second half?
Well, we let the crowd get involved. We didn't play well the first half. They put 7, 8 in the box, and it hurt us a little bit. But second half, we're coming back. We're just going to appeal to the kids' pride, and we didn't come this far to not play well.
Did you think you had to make any adjustments to the game plan, or it's just a matter of the guys playing a little bit better in the second half?
No, I just think it's us playing a little bit better. We've been playing where we missed a few tackles. They're big kids, and they kind of mesh us around a little bit. But, you know, we just got to swell up. We've been down this road before. We've been here before, so we're ready. We're ready to come back.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck to you in the second half. Great, and Sean, I'm looking forward to see how Dillard plays in the second half. They get the ball to start, and I noticed how they came out. One of the guys commented to his teammates, keep your head up. Not usually what you hear when you have to come out and have a lot of determination for the second half.
Thanks, Charles and James. Let's get to these highlights in the center. And the sack by Stanford Rule.
Well, Stanford Rule coming right through, and this is early in the game, setting the tempo on defense, standing up the fullback, and then the big stop for Dillard, and that forces a Chase Pickett field goal, the junior field goal kicker from 39 yards out. He learned this from Matt Teague, is where he learned his leg whip. Matt Teague, a kicker here for the Gators for many years, a great one, and it's Chase Pickett bringing on the tradition to the Swamp. Then it's the touchdown to Big Joe Cohen, the sophomore, and behind Big Beta Svitovic and Mike DeGore. Let's check out Big Mike DeGore, the center. Watch the center, number 73, and the left guard, Svitovic. And flat on the back goes that nose guard for the Dillard Panthers, making that touchdown possible and making it 10-0 at halftime.
The first half stats. Rushing yards in favor of Palm Bay. Passing yards negligible. Starting position, Batesy, I think that's the key to the first half.
Well, that's the key, and if you look one underneath, time of possession, 14:21 to 9:39. Just what the Pirates planned on doing, what Coach Redmond knew earlier in the week would happen, but he's got to come out and counter that in the second half, and he's got his troops ready to go. We heard from him down with Charles, and hopefully he said the right things to his Dillard Panthers if they want to come in and win a state championship in 6A.
Coach Joe Redmond said, we'll be back, they better, because Palm Bay, they're 24 minutes away from their first state championship. Melbourne Palm Bay leads Dillard 10-0. And the second half is underway. Chris Gamble, he has the ball. Palm Bay doing a great job corralling the superstar from the Panthers as he's brought down at the 21. Arkeith Brown, the junior, tracking down Mr. Gamble.
Well, good coverage by the Pirates on that kickoff, and good coverage. A guy we haven't heard much from is Mike Miller and his number 2, Chris Gamble. Mike Miller on him on offense. The guy, he's very explosive, has been all year long. 1,200 yards receiving so far this year, and they've really shut him down tonight. And big part on offense is because Mike Miller, the 5'9", 175-pound senior cornerback, number 7.
Terrence Butler, the quarterback, hands off to the junior Marcus Faison. And Faison into the Palm Bay secondary to the 32. Mike Miller finally tracked down Faison. Doesn't matter what jersey that young man's wearing, number 7, number 31, he's going to get his yards. And out comes some flags.
They say maybe some celebration or taunting after. You can tell from that first play, Sean, that Coach Redmond, his comments after the half with Charles, he wants to set a tempo of bullying around himself.
Flag foul on the blue.
So after the play, some unsportsmanlike conduct from the Panthers, and that'll kind of take the wind out of their sails. Let's see if we can see it. There you see Faison making the gesture for the state championship ring. And that is the 8th penalty for 71 yards for the Panthers. That's just not getting it done in the championship game.
Maybe something that shouldn't have been done by Faison, but still pretty ticky-tack flag right there when you're in a state championship game to throw something like that. That won't sit well on the Dillard sideline.
1st and 25. Down the sideline, and great pick. Trevor Howard, his 11th pick of the season. This guy is unbelievable. He had a 3-pick game during the playoffs. He ran about 20 yards and hauls it in, the INT, and Palm Bay has the ball at the Dillard 48.
Not exactly what Coach Redmond and the Dillard staff wanted coming out of the half. They had the big run, then the penalty brings them back. And dropping back is Terrence Butler and just sets it up there. And there's your man, number 15, in the back of your screen. Great camera shot, and an even better play is Trevor Howard just playing center field, reading the eyes of Terrence Butler and getting over there and getting the big pick. And he's fired up, and he should be.
To the ground, Jason Fritz picking up 2.
Sean, that 3-interception performance was against Santa Lucius in the first round of the playoffs. Number 15 is having a huge season, leading the team, leading the county and the district in punt returns as well.
Full house backfield on 2nd and 8. Inside handoff to Joe Cohen. Gain a half a yard. That'll bring up 3rd and 7.
Sean, here we are on the second half of the 6th game in 3 days here, and the turf is in great shape. Hats off to the field crew, especially when you've got big dogs like DeGory. Wow.
That's Matthias Askew. Hey, man, why do you have to do that to me, man?
Wow.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this.
Well, there's nothing nice about that, man. I'm convinced. Big 73. You know what sad thing is? He's probably got a girlfriend back in Palm Bay, and she thinks he's a big teddy bear. And he probably is, but we'd never see that. So maybe write in if you're Mike DeGory's girlfriend. Drop us a note, an email. Let us know about the teddy bear side of him, because we're sure not seeing it here tonight in the swamp.
I don't let her talk to the media. Oh, they're partying on that Palm Bay sideline. They're starting to feel it. There's a long way to go.
Speaking of feeling it, I was feeling it watching these two bands. Great bands here today. Look at the Glitter Boys from Florida State. They look a lot like the Glitter Boys. Not as glittery, but there's the Dillard band, Palm Bay band, and the Dillard band still jamming, and that might be a prerequisite everywhere that Joseph Redmond goes. One thing you have to have is a great band. He's coming from a school, Jackson High School, one of the best halftime shows you've ever seen at the Soul Bowl, Northwestern and Jackson. And Dillard, they put on a show as well. Somebody called 911 was the theme at halftime tonight.
Joe Cohen, he has 38 yards in the ball game. He was shaken up. He looks to be okay. That's what the delay was for. 3rd and 7. Palm Bay's 3 for 6 on 3rd down conversions, and they're going to be 4 for 7. Mike Miller goes in motion. He gets the ball, and he should have enough for a Pirate first down. Stanford Rule, his 6th tackle of the game.
Well, this is the guy that we haven't heard much from, playing receiver, Mike Miller. On defense, we haven't heard much from him because he's doing such a good job covering Chris Gamble. The guy runs a 4.440, and he displays it right there. The speed coming around the corner, picking up a big first down.
Charles, what's the feeling down on the field?
Well, the feeling down on the field right now is everyone's rocking and having a good time, but things are going Palm Bay's way. Have the ball in the momentum and a 10-0 lead. An update on Kareem Goodwin, who got hurt in the first half, hurt his neck and his head. The doctor's now evaluating him. They'll get back to us with more later, but right now it just doesn't look good for his return.
Thanks, Charles. Out of the eye. Whoa. There's Matthias Askew bringing Dan Hornick to the ground.
Another guy we haven't heard too much from, big 95, the 290-pound senior. On a lot of people's list is one of the top 5 players in the state. A guy that Coach Redmond said has passed out after the last 2 games. He's put so much into the game, he's literally passed out after the game.
2nd and 11. Kleinstitz to the air. Completes it to Dante Moffitt. And Moffitt picks up about 6. Joseph Harris with the coverage.
Well, Kleinschnitz showing us that he can throw the ball around with some zip.
There's Joe Cohen.
Joe Cohen over on the sidelines, but Kleinschnitz, how's this for a transfer? Stanford rules a transfer to Dillard from Plantation. Well, another transfer from an area school, transferring over from Melbourne High School, Charles Kleinschnitz. Great baseball player, too, so the baseball program at Palm Bay getting a boost with that, too.
Kleinschnidt's 3 for 3 in this game. Trying to be 4 for 4, looking for Mike Miller. Great catch by Miller down at the 15. Whoa. Chad Cleveland with the stick. 18-yard gain. Wow, Mike Miller, what a catch.
Impressive. What's most impressive about this catch by number 7 is the ball's hanging up there, and he knows without a doubt that he's going to take a lick as soon as he catches this football. Look at that. He gets 1 foot in and hangs on to it. Incredible catch by Mike Miller.
Let's, Charles, what was your impressions?
Hey, a great hit, but you've got to go to strip the arms. That's the only way the ball really comes out time after time. The big hit's nice, but you got to take away the arms so you can't catch the football.
Dan Hornig picks up a couple. Hey, let's take a look at this. Is he out of bounds? This is very close. No, it looks like he does got it.
Wow,
it was real close. There was some dissension from the hometown crowd, or at least the home side crowd, when they saw the replay up on the Jumbotron, but it looks like a good catch. 2nd and 8 to the ground. Hornig. Oh, it's Jason Fritz, excuse me. Pounding away. That'll bring up a 3rd and 5. Cohen should be back into the game. A little bit of a cramp, working it out. He should be back on the field soon enough. Coach Dan Burke.
UCF graduate Jeff Harper, his right tackle, 6'9", 310-pounder, going to UCF, committed to play football there next year.
Fullback dive, Fritz. Picks up a couple. That'll bring up 4th down. Decision time.
And this is a big decision. You've got a guy who can definitely split it through the uprights, but the way you're moving the football right now, Sean, it's hard not to go for it all, and I think they're going to keep Kleinschnitz in and go for this one. And now what you've got to do, remember Matthias asked you jumping off sides earlier, you've got to hold your ground on that defensive line. And if you're on the offense on Palm Bay, you need to try to pull these guys off again, see if you can get them 2 times in a row.
Do they go behind DeGore? They go off tackle. Jason Fritz has the 1st down. They didn't go behind DeGore. They went behind Harper, which is a bad 1A.
1A. Look at that offensive line. There's 76 and 70.
Fritz 19 yards in the ball game. 1st and goal.
For 70, Jordan Berger in the game now.
To the ground with Hornig. Stanford roll. Brings him to the ground. Dillard's come up with a couple big stops down here. They're going to need another one.
Well, none would be bigger than a big stop right here, and not only a stop, but if you're a Dillard Panther, you'd like to get that ball back in your hands, come up with a big play. For that man, Joseph Redmond, who really says that this is the best team he's ever coached, and one thing he's most proud of is the fact that they're just growing so close as a team he hates for this season to end because they're having so much fun. One big family will be a happy family. They get a turnover right here.
The ground. Hornig. Stanford rule again. Joseph Harris also finishing off the play, but it was ruled with the initial hit on Hornig, and that'll bring up 3rd and goal from the 2. And one thing is occurring is that clock starts to tick, and it may be the 3rd quarter, but Palm Bay, when they get the ball, they eat a lot of time off of that clock. To the ground with Hornig, and Hornig is stopped short. And once again, it'll be decision time. Looked like Devin Collins was a man who slithered in there for the hit and the tackle, keeping Hornig out of the end zone. So now we have 4th and goal.
4th and inches, really, and if you're going to go for it on 4th and 2 at about the 10, of course you're going to go for it here. And Sean, the way they've been powering, you just try to stay with the power. Stick it into that end zone.
Kleinschnitz, the keeper, the dive. But we have flags on the play.
Somebody might have moved on that Palm Bay side.
Dead ball, encroachment prior to the snap on the defense. Half the distance to the goal line, still 4th down.
Offsides, lining up offsides against the Panthers, so half the distance. So instead of 16 inches, it's 8. Let's see if we can see it. They shift. They probably just crowd that line of scrimmage. So now, the Panthers trying to defend about 6 inches of real estate.
Stanford Rule's got to come up high.
Kleinschnitz, and I don't think he got in. The ball's loose. They have not blown it dead. Joseph Harris recovers. And how ironic is this? On the offsides, it looked like Kleinschnitz got in. And with the penalty, they do the sneak again, and Dillard not only keeps them out, they force a fumble, which actually aids them because it gets them out of the shadow of their own goalpost a little bit, gives them a little bit of real estate to work with. Big play.
You're right, Sean. The play before, they do the same thing, try to go over the top, and you really just show your cards to this high-powered defense, and this defense is ready for the over-the-top quarterback sneak right then, and everybody converging on it, and a huge stop for these Dillard Panthers as they pick up the ball and get a little bit of cushion off of that goal line. And now they've got to turn it around and answer, make something of this turnover, and get the momentum going. 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Huge play. To the ground goes Marcus Faison. Tyrone Benson, the 6'3", 230-pound senior, with the stop.
Well, he's come back and had a strong senior season. Tyrone Benson, he dislocated his knee versus Dr. Phillips last year. Very good rusher on that defensive end. Tyrone Bergen, excuse me.
The throw. Complete to Osborne, 1st down.
Osborne's 2nd big catch of the night. A lot of the concentration going to Gamble coming into this game. Palm Bay knew that the other receivers could catch, and that's a great catch. Across the middle, has to reach behind him, knowing that the big leg's coming from inside, holding on to it for a 1st down.
So the Panthers get a 1st down. This is an important drive. Butler swings it out to Deacle. Deacle dives forward, bringing up 2nd and 4 for the Panthers. Stovall and George Thomas Miller with the stop. And as the 3rd quarter ticks away, 2:42, 2:41, Chris Gamble's name has been hardly mentioned in this game. Very close to a 1st down.
This Palm Bay defense making it very hard to get outside and get to the corner. George Thormina, a guy that Coach Burke really feels like has been a great success to this team after they switched him. They moved him out to defensive end, and there he is keeping the ball, containing the ball inside, so some of the interior guys can come out and help make the play, and the sticks come out on the field as Joseph Redmond looks on, hopes for a 1st down.
First down. Come on.
You see Bergen, number 12, he held up his hands to the coach, and what looked like, he said, looked like about a yard to go, and it was a 1st down. And that was after they measured. He looked over at his coach and held his hands about a foot apart. Wishful thinking, I guess.
Going nowhere is Eagle. Reggie Nelson came flying through from his safety spot. Loss of a yard.
Reggie Nelson leading the team in tackles. There's Keonger Cook.
Yeah, we talked about Jomo in one of our state title games. What about Keonger? There's another great name.
It is a good football player name.
Butler throws. Gets it to Deagle. Deagle gets across the 35. And that's going to bring up third down for the Panthers.
You got to shorten up that Keonger a little bit, though. I think if I were one of his teammates, I'd try to coin the nickname Kong. I like the name Kong for a defensive line. Good defense.
Yeah,
Kong.
that's good. I like
King
it.
Kong. I might go into business. I might have to leave you, Sean. Get an internet site. Email me. I'll give you a good nickname.
3rd and 3. The handoff to Faison. Faison is driven backwards. Reggie Nelson, George Thomas Miller. And on 3rd and 3, tough play. Faison going east-west. Got to be going north-south to get that first down, James.
Oh, and George Thomas Miller, he's got a twin that plays on this team, Eric. And Eric's out with the shoulder, but George Thomas Miller playing well enough for 2 people. He came underneath that time. Got lucky, came back with the right angle and was able to grab him. And Reggie Nelson, the sophomore linebacker, interviewed him this week. Very shy guy, but there's nothing shy about his game.
Well, we have come to the end of the 3rd quarter. And it's right where we were at halftime. Palm Bay out of Melbourne. They lead Fort Lauderdale Dillard 10-0. Don't go anywhere. We have 12 minutes to play to decide who will be the Class 6A state champion. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are brought to you by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Palm Bay out of Melbourne leads Dillard 10-0. 4th quarter coming up. 4th quarter about to begin with Dillard punting. Tristan Aldinger, low liner. Trevor Howard back, but he's going to let it roll. And Palm Bay starts on their own 25.
Sean, very smart of Dillard to let that 3rd quarter clock run out because of the wind at their backs and aiding that punt. A little bit of low liner may not have gotten very far had it been into the wind. So Palm Bay now with some bunch of territory, probably the longest they've had to go to start the play. Now, Sean, you've seen a lot of players. Who's the guy? Is that a former Dillard player right there next to Coach Redmond? That's a pretty big guy right there. I wonder if he used to play for Coach Redmond or maybe they're at Dillard. Do you recognize him?
I do not.
Okay.
Maybe he's a bodyguard.
Yeah, that too. He could be my bodyguard.
And I can be your long-lost pal.
Do-do-do-do. Here we go.
11:49 remains in the 6A title game. Palm Bay with the ball. Joe Cohen back into the ball game, picking up a couple. Boy, Palm Bay, we're in the 4th quarter. The 25-yard line. It's not bad starting position, but in this game, it's the worst starting position they've had. And Cohen, he just got back into the game, and it looks like he's going to be going right back out. He's cramping up, so they're going to have to do some work on Joe Cohen. Palm Bay leads this one 10-0. Palm Bay has the ball. 2nd and 6 to the ground. Flags come flying. That was Dan Hornig, the ball carrier. Well, let's wait on the flag.
I think they might get DeGore with a hold here.
Not if Mike DeGore has anything to say about it.
During the run, got a top block on the offense. Half the distance to the goal line.
Wow, trouble being heard above the Dillard band.
Well,
but it looks like a low block.
Low block, and it's half the distance to the goal line is the call. So a big 15-yarder is what it is, but it turns out to be half the distance to the goal line. Let's see if we can find it. It'll be left side of your screen, and it wasn't DeGore. It's where DeGore is involved on. They're trying to double team Askew. And it looks like that right tackle, Nigel Seaman, I'm sorry, rather Jeff Harper, blocking low.
It's only the second penalty assessed against the Pirates. The draw. Hornig. Only a couple. That'll bring up third down.
Here they try to trap defensive tackle Matthias Askew. Watch this, the big 6'10" pounder. Harper, boom, colliding with big 6'7" Matthias Askew. That's one big collision. 6'7", 290 on defense, 6'9", 310 on offense. Just a big stalemate there in the backfield.
Whistles, flags.
I think they're going to have Mike Emery, the left tackle there. It looked like he shifted a little bit too soon. False start.
Dead ball. Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. Still third down.
So, Dan Burke's Pirates back up 5. Coach Joe Redmond, you can see his eyes. He keeps staring at that clock.
He's chomping at the bit to get the ball back in his offensive hands. 10:25 left, and now the wind blowing hard right into the face of Palm Bay. So hard to throw the ball down the field, but if you make the stop and you're Dillard, you're in a good situation as far as the punt goes, too.
Flying stints. He throws. And the ball's going to be intercepted. Joseph Harris with the pick. And you can say it's as good as a punt, but it really isn't. Because now the Panthers get a little bit of momentum.
And Sean Little, Joseph Harris, 140 pounds, but he's having a huge night. Picked up 2 fumbles already. And this may be the biggest turnover of the night for him if they can turn it into something. Number 24 with an interception. Kleinschnitz overthrows Mike Miller, his speedster, and peeling off that corner spot. Joseph Harris, number 24.
Terrence Butler under center. 1st and 10 for the Panthers. They go to the reverse. Goes nowhere. Loss of 6. Chris Gamble. They're trying to get the ball in his hands, but wherever he goes, Palm Bay follows.
Well, we talked about this in a couple of the earlier games. Sudden change. When you get a turnover, get that defense back out on the field unexpectedly. You try to go with the big play up top, maybe a big pass or a reverse. And watch number 77. When you get all that weight moving Don Bird, it's hard to get it turned around. But what he does, he makes the receiver turn underneath him. And in the interior, everybody can come make the tackle. So a good play by Don Bird, even though he didn't make the tackle.
The throw. Trying to get it to Deacle. Ball's incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd and 16. 9:13 on the clock.
Sean Trevor Howard, the guy had the interception earlier. Trying to cause some havoc there in the backfield.
Drop. Tyrone Bergen getting after it.
Sean, this is a tough defense. Tyrone Bergen, the big defensive end. He's going to end up coming underneath into the screen. Wow, and a big sack. These guys have been ferocious, whether it's against the run or the pass. It's hard to get anything done. This Pirate defense is coming with some fire, and they are coming all night long. It's a squad that you can tell is a well-conditioned squad in good shape.
Howard back for the Pirates. He's going to let it roll. It rolls out of bounds at the 22. Boy, Dillard, they get a big interception. 3 plays, they're punting it right back. 32-yard kick.
They're going to have to ask for another big stop from their defense.
Frustration mounting on the Dillard sideline. They can't get anything going. They trail by 10. 8:20 remains. Welcome back. Palm Bay leads 10-0. 1st and 10. They go to the ground. It's Reggie Edwards.
Edwards, just one of the many great backs here on this Palm Bay team, and one of the best backs, Sean, ever to come to Palm Bay High School. Was supposed to come play in this swamp and not in the state championship game, but he signed to play with the Florida Gators. Of course, James McGriff, who wore number 20 there for the Palm Bay Pirates, and just a couple weeks after signing with the Gators, if you remember, drowned in the Atlantic Ocean. And very, very touching, sad moment for Palm Bay High School, for the entire state of Florida, and high school football in Florida. A couple years
Stanford Rule, the Cardinal, drilling Reggie Edwards. 9 tackles in the game for Rule.
Sean, in the weight room at Palm Bay High School, they have James McGriff's jersey in memoriam, a picture of James. And the coaches still talk about him, what a great young man he was, but just a little bit of strong current in the Atlantic Ocean the day he decided to go swimming with his girlfriend. And just, you know, it's something to point out, because a lot of high schoolers, a lot of young kids will be watching these broadcasts, guys. Please be careful. Be careful when you're in that ocean, because it can hold you at your mercy, and you never know. You got to be safe out there.
On 3rd and 8. They go to the ground with Edwards. And Edwards gains about 1. He's still in negative yardage. Personally, -1 yards on the game for Edwards.
There's the Dillard defense coming in.
Devin Collins.
Yes, Big Collins, number 52.
Only a junior.
Well, Sean, the Dillard Panther defense does its job, forcing Palm Bay to punt again into this wind.
Well, here's the big key. Moffitt is getting ready to punt. Do they punt it to Gamble? Low liner. It's going to bounce. Is Gamble going to pick it up? He will. And Gamble brought down at the 45. 41-yard kick.
So the Palm Bay defense has to come back out and trying to work on this shutout right now. 6 minutes, 3 seconds left. Here's Gamble as he steps out of bounds, takes a big shot, but the Palm Bay defense has been very stingy all season long, Sean. 5 shutouts in a couple games. Against Dr. Phillips, a safety was the only thing scored, so that's 2 points due to the offense. And then Gaither, offense fumbled in the end zone. That's 7, so could have been 7 shutouts.
The screen to Faison. Faison trying to get to that corner. He gets out of bounds. And now comes a flag. We might have a face mask. And if this is a personal foul, this will be in the 15-yard variety.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense. 15 yards at the end of the run, 1st down.
Going to the screen. And as he goes out of bounds, Marcus Carpenter.
Oh, Sean, he didn't get his face mask. He pulled him by his shirt. Oof. And wow, 15 yards. Coach Redmond and his troops lucky on that call.
He knows it too. 1st and 10. Deacle picks up 3. This game can be so fast, sometimes your eyes can deceive you.
Yes, it can. For the most part, these referees, officials, in all of our 6 games have done an excellent job. That's just a miss, maybe a bad angle.
Butler throws to Gamble. Gamble steps out of bounds. That's Gamble's first catch of the game.
We look at Terrence Butler over there talking to Coach Redmond. Now, one thing to keep in mind with 5:12 left in this ball game, down 10 is Dillard. And Dillard, you've seen the power from time to time on offense. One thing you haven't seen is the field goals. Really not the best field goal kicking team around. They had some trouble against Miami Jackson. The score was 6-0, but talking to a couple people who saw that game, they said if they had a field goal kicker, it might have been a little bit worse.
Palm Bay calls a timeout. They lead it 10-0. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network, brought to you by iHigh.com, the high school internet network. The Panther cheerleaders, they cheer on their team, but they trail by 10, and over on the other sideline, Palm Bay, they're feeling it, 5-12 away. A minor correction, that was Gamble's second catch. The first one was so long ago, I forgot all about it. The throw, underthrown, trying to get the ball to Osborne.
Butler just forced this one and ended up going right into the dirt, trying to get it underneath the coverage of Dan Carter, who was trying to get out there to the flat from his linebacker spot. And Butler putting a little bit too much zip and too much force on it, ended up in the grass.
Terrence Butler, 8 of 13, 73 yards, 2 INTs. Dillard goes to 5 wide. Butler, he throws, he's got a man. Touchdown. Willie Goldsby. And Dillard's back into this one. Butler to Goldsby, 20-yard touchdown. And Dillard cuts this Palm Bay lead to 4.
Well, let's take a look at Terrence Butler. Terrence Butler sees what we see up here in the booth, a great big opening, and he stops. The line of scrimmage is the 20. He stops right about the 20.5-yard line and throws a bullet right on the money down to Goldsby, sitting in the corner by himself. Good job getting open and on the board.
And the extra point is blocked. Mike Miller. How big is that? Is huge. Last week in the state semifinal, Palm Bay blocked an extra point in overtime to send him to this game. Mike Miller from the right side, or the left, our left, coming through.
And untouched from the corner, great angle, stretches out. That's pretty hard to time it up, but when nobody gets a paw on you, you've got to, as an outside guy, the wing guy on the block team, you've got to at least get a hand and disrupt the rush of that outside rusher coming in, because you give him too much of an angle, you shut down that angle, and it's just a free shot at your kicker and Mike Miller gets the block, a big block last week, as Sean was saying, by Reggie Nelson against Lincoln on an extra point. And this one too, 2 weeks in a row in 2 huge games. And that's what Joseph Redmond's saying, is get a hand on him, anything to try to slow him down. And that's one guy that is kind of hard to slow down, number 7, Mike Miller, 4'4", 40 guy. And Sean, the last couple series, as we take a look at the scoring drive, the last couple series, it's been the Dillard defense getting the job done. They're going to be asked to do it again now with 4:59 left in this state championship game.
Dan Horning is the only man back. They're expecting a short kick, and instead they bang it into the back of the end zone. Andre Taft booms the ball. 4:59 remains in the Class 6A state title game. Palm Bay leads Dillard 10-6. Dillard imploring their fans to get loud.
Well, you don't have to worry about that, Sean. Dillard High School's got one of the best crews to follow and make noise at every contest. Very good crowd coming all the way up from Fort Lauderdale, and a big crowd coming from Melbourne for Palm Bay.
Kleinstitz goes to the air. Whoa! Playing with fire, Joseph Harris. He had the lead for Dillard nearly in his hands.
Joseph Harris, of course, with already 1 interception, 2 fumble recoveries. He does a good job of reading Kleinstitz. This time he gets his hands on it. Ooh. Wow, he was thinking 6 points. That is a sure 6, and actually he doesn't get a hand on it. It's just dropped by the receiver, number 6, Dante Moffitt.
Palm Bay goes to the ground, as you would expect. Joe Cohen fighting for yards, picking up 3.
That's right, Sean, as you would expect, and you would have expected it on first down. Maybe the way they've overpowered this Dillard defense tonight on the ground, they choose on first down to go to the air. Incomplete pass stops the clock. Could have been a nice chunk off the clock as we go down under 4 minutes and 30 seconds now in the ball game.
Third and 7. Palm Bay's offense has sputtered. Mike Miller on the reverse is going nowhere. The Panthers. Oh, here they come. Joseph Harris, Dwayne Golden.
Well, coming into this game, you hadn't heard a whole lot about Joseph Harris. You hear about the studs like Askew, Stanford Rule, but back there disrupting things, and Mike Miller coming from his corner spot. Joseph Harris finally making the tackle. Mike Miller's a speedster, but nowhere to run against this equally speedy Dillard defense, and Palm Bay must punt.
And they do. Chris Gamble back. Chris Gamble has it. But he's going to be dropped at the 43, 34-yard punt. Gamble unable to get untracked here in this 6A title game.
And Sean, you can feel it up here in the booth. 3:15 remaining. There's the Dillard. Look at the Dillard sidelines. The players trying to get the crowd up, and they're behind them. Everybody's on their feet here in the swamp, both sides of the field. 43 yards from pay dirt, and down 4 points are these Dillard Panthers.
The quick out to Osborne. He nearly drops it, but hangs on. Very close to a Panther first down.
A great job of being on the same play by Terrence Butler and Alfred Osborne. Just uncovered is number 81. They just throw it hot to him right off the bat, and a big pickup Brings up second and short.
Out of the gun. Butler buying time. He throws. And it's intercepted. George Thomas Miller has the ball. The pick. And out comes some flags.
Now, I don't think the flags are going to affect the interception, Sean.
I think maybe some of the Palm Bay players ran out on the field.
After the change of possessions, we had a dead ball, personal foul on the white. Half the distance to the goal line, first down.
Well, it was a personal foul. Maybe a shot on Butler?
Well, let's see what we can see. First, watch Terrence Butler. Rolling out a little bit, and this guy throws the ball well. Ooh, look at that shot. Throws the ball well on the run. Kind of an awkward throw, but still Goldsby hits him in the hands. He can't come down with it, and after the deflection, it's Miller with the pick. We can't see the penalty, but costly if they can't get a first down here for Palm Bay.
Going to the ground with Reggie Edwards. 2:26 left in the 6A state title game.
Maybe use that timeout right now. You've got 3.
Chris Gamble. He's praying they can get one more crack at it. Palm Bay has the ball in the lead, 10-6. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by the Marines, the few, the proud. Call 1-800-MARINES. Dillard's defense, they have stood up to the test here in the second half. The last 3 Palm Bay drives, only 9 plays, 6 yards, forcing 2 punts and getting an INT. So the defense, they've risen to the occasion here in the second half.
You can throw it all out the window, though, because this is all that matters with 2:22 left, is this drive here.
2nd and 9. Jason Fritz, a couple. And that'll bring up probably the biggest third down of the game as the Panthers want to stop the clock. And they burn their second timeout. 2:13 on the clock. Well, they're selling out. They're using their timeouts. This is a big third down. Gamble, he can't even look anymore. Neither can Coach Burke. Palm Bay leads 10-6. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are brought to you by Tico. Run smart with People's Gas, a Tico energy company. Third down, 4 to go. The Panthers have already burned 2 timeouts. They need to get the ball back. A first down would greatly enhance Palm Bay's chances of winning their first ever state title. The inside handoff. And Dillard holds. Joe Cohen can go nowhere. And Dillard uses their last timeout. 2:05 on the clock. And it looks like Dillard, we're going to have another furious finish here in the state finals.
And it's the right tackle, Vincent Davis, who really makes this play happen by stuffing the offensive lineman. And wow, Sean, we may be saving the best for last. We had a great one a couple nights ago, St. Thomas and Pine Forest, and there you see number 58, Vincent Davis, taking on the pulling offensive lineman, number 58, Robert Brunson, coming off and helping making the tackle.
Chris Gamble. Well, that's Coach Burke, but Chris Gamble stands at his 43 as he awaits a punt. Palm Bay, they pray, they hope they can hang on to this lead. Dante Moffitt, in this game, he's Had 3 punts for an average of 41 yards. What's been most impressive has been the coverage on that man, who has been unable to get uncorked here in this game. Moffitt booms it. Gamble will have no chance at a return. The ball goes out of bounds, and Dillard will be 48 yards away from the promised land. 1:57 on the clock.
Sean, it's hard to put your finger on the play of the game. There have been a lot of big plays in this game, but Moffitt coming up huge with the punt to get it off to begin with. A great rush by Dillard, almost blocked. He sidestepped really the rusher, and not only did he get a good kickoff, but he kicked it away from Chris Gamble. No chance at a return, and really giving you the best shot for your defense. Here we go.
5 wide. Flags on the play.
And snap. Bold start on the offense.
Motion. Looked like number 78 for the Panthers, Nigel Seaman. Rocked a little too soon.
Take a look at it. There he goes, just a fraction of a second too early as he's trying to get a jump on the defensive lineman. Now, with this defense spread out like this, you've got to be careful of Terrence Butler because he can dance around a little bit and pick up some big yardage. But remember, only 2 minutes left, no timeouts for Dillard. So you have to be conservative and pick and choose when you're going to run the football. And if you do run the football, get ready to get back up there and get set.
Officials in conversation.
Please reset the clock to 1:57. 1:57.
There's going to be a clock change. The clock reads 1:54. It should be at 1:57. Apparently a couple ticks came off during that motion penalty. Of course, it was a dead ball. Ken Reese, our official tonight out of the Fort Myers area, as is all our officials. 1st and 15. Butler throws to Deagle. Deagle hangs on, pickup of 5, and he gets out of bounds. Remember, the Panthers have no timeouts.
Excellent effort, Deagle. Takes a little while, but he finally gets his hands and gets that ball tucked away. And then the state of mind to keep running and get out of bounds. Here he is coming across the middle underneath those linebackers as they switch off. And a good job of switching off by the defensive backs. There's number 3 for Palm Bay, finally running him out of bounds.
Butler's in trouble.
Got to get rid of it.
He throws, and he overthrows his intended receiver, Leroy Aiken, and out comes flags. Now remember, there is no uncatchable rule in high school football. So that is immaterial whether Aiken could have caught this ball or not.
We have defensive pass interference against the defense.
There will be interference
15
assessed
yards,
against Palm Bay.
automatic first down.
Mike Miller, the guilty culprit. Or actually, it won't be Miller, it'll be Trevor Howard.
Well, there you see, towards the end of the play, you're going to see Trevor Howard with his hands just a little bit on Aiken. And one person you've got to account for, I've watched the last 2 times. Number 12, Berger at that defensive end spot has bull rushed his way right into the face of Butler. You got to account for him.
Palm Bay only rushing 3. And Butler takes it under, gain of 5. The clock is ticking. We're now at 1.5 minutes.
That time they bring an extra body over and double team Berger, who's had some success getting in the backfield. That time putting a little bit of pressure on Butler, and quick to the line is Dillard.
Howard is on Gamble to the near side. They're throwing it to Gamble. And Gamble can't get out of bounds. But he will have enough for a first down So the clock will stop when they move the change, but Dillard has to be ready to snap. First and goal, or excuse me, first and 10.
Butler making his calls at the line of scrimmage. Good job getting back and getting set by the Panthers.
Ball's on the ground. The throw. Faison catches it in the middle of the field. Gain of 5.
You're still okay. Let your guys get set. They've got a preset play now.
Gamble catches. And he steps out of bounds. They mark it at the 16. This will bring up 3rd and 4. And now Palm Bay. Coach Burke, he's asking for a timeout.
Okay, obviously the clock stopped because Gamble getting out of bounds, and I've been really impressed with Trevor Howard there and Mike Miller earlier in the game, really putting the clamps down on number 2, Chris Gamble. They're not going to let him beat the Palm Bay Pirates here tonight. They're going to make somebody else do it. And one guy you got to account for is Alfred Osborne. Has had some big catches, number 81. When all the attention's been put on number 2, they've gone to number 81, and Leroy Akins has had a few big catches too. So Dillard able to now huddle up themselves as Palm Bay comes out on the field to huddle up. But Dillard's going to get a little bit of a break here and maybe call a couple plays back-to-back. If you get caught in the middle of the field again, maybe call 2 or 3 plays and know what you want to run if this happens or if that happens. And Coach Redmond getting his troops ready, and they're on the other side, Palm Bay. Some of the guys that are on offense and on the sidelines can only hope and pray that their defense stiffens.
Third and 4. Butler rolls, throws, incomplete. And now a pressing situation for Dillard. It's 4th down. Very close. Let's take a look, James. This was very close.
Well, Gamble doing everything he can to keep his feet in bounds. Let's take another look at it if we can.
Joe Redmond wants to take a peek. He's looking at that scoreboard.
Let's see it real quick. Here we go. Here's Terrence Butler rolling out.
Whoa.
They're saying his shoulder.
His body might have been out of bounds. He might have caught it, but his body might have been out of bounds. 4th and 4. 8 seconds on the play clock. Incomplete. Tyrone Bergen tips it. And Palm Bay will get the ball with 35 seconds remaining, and the Panthers have no way of stopping the clock.
And Bergen finally comes through. He had been sniffing around Terrence Butler on almost every snap on this drive, using his power to get into the backfield. This time he powers up, throws his hands up, and bats down what promises to be a game winner. Watch number 12. Gets some pressure, gets some push, and then separates, comes up with the quick hands, good reaction. Defensive linemen are taught to put those hands up, and doing his job is number 12. And we've got some new state champions in 6A.
Charles Kleinschnitz takes a knee. They may not have to run another play. There's the man. Tell you what, he might be the most valuable player on this Palm Bay team.
And how about Mike Miller with the blocked extra point? It did it last week. A blocked extra point this week doesn't give him the option to go for the field goal. And it's party time, Palm Bay.
They're going to get him. It was the big guy, too.
He's got
Donald Boyd.
He's got too much muscle. He stays warm.
How about Coach Burke's reaction? Oh, what was that? Yeah. Did we win?
Oh.
Let's play another one. head down to the field. Charles with head coach Dan Burke.
I'm with a very happy, very wet, and now cold, but state champion, Coach Burke. Coach,
great.
Congratulations.
That's great. That's great. I'm so happy for these guys starting out 0-2. They turned their season around. We got a bunch of seniors that did not want to play their last football game, and I'm proud of them.
Your fifth year at Palm Bay, you've really done a great job building this program. They had one state playoff appearance in 1978 before you got there. You've been in the playoffs every year, now a state champion. How did you do it?
It's a lot of people. I got great coaches, I got great players, I got good administration, and great parents. You know, and with those things in line, you know, you could do well. And if one of those things is missing, it becomes difficult. But we've got great parents, and I got a great coaching staff. The kids are fantastic, and my administration is behind us 100%. And it makes it fun, and this is what happens. It's great, great feeling.
Last year, trip to the state quarterfinals, a very tough loss in that game. Did you get into the spring? Did you get together right after that game and kind of say, we got a little unfinished business?
We watched that tape a little bit in the weight room. There's no doubt about it. You know, the guys didn't like to, but that's a bad taste in their mouth. And, you know, now they're state champions, and that's that.
All right, Coach, congratulations. Go Savor it. State champion. Coach Dan Burke, Palm Bay Pirates, state champions 2000.
Charles said it best. The Palm Bay Pirates out of Melbourne have secured the school's first ever Class 6A football state championship. And once again, one team walks away as the champs, and another team walks away off this field very disappointed. We've talked about it, James. It's so difficult to get to this game. You've accomplished so much, and when you lose it, it almost feels like it was all for naught.
Sean, we've said it before, there are no losers in these state championship games, but it's the way competition goes. And these guys will definitely have a rough bus trip back to Fort Lauderdale tonight. But here in a couple days, it'll set in how good they were and how close they were, and really learned a lot and grew together as a family. Didn't quite finish it off like Palm Bay, and Palm Bay will definitely have something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives, and pretty soon they'll have a nice big state championship ring.
They don't even want to look at that final scoreboard, but Melbourne Palm Bay, they do. They scored 10 points in the first half. They weren't able to score any in the second. But it didn't matter as their defense held Dillard to 6 points in this game. The high-powered Dillard offense only able to muster 6 points. And that's the reason Palm Bay is your 2000 Class 6A state champions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be wrapping this up when we get back. Welcome back. They've already printed them up. Melbourne Palm Bay 10, Fort Lauderdale Dillard 6. And Melbourne Palm Bay is the 2000 Class 6A champion. And Palm Bay, they were able to use their offensive line. They were able to power, get 10 points, and then they just held on there at the end, James.
And everybody knew it would be a low-scoring game, back and forth. The power of Palm Bay is what does it in the end. Big DeGore and the rest of that offensive line powering. And then when you've got a stable of backs, about 5 or 6 backs, they can carry it. And as we knew coming in, 4 backs that have 500 yards rushing coming in. You're going to get it done somehow. But what we didn't know, what we found out about, was that Palm Bay defense to shut down the Dillard offense like they did. Very impressive from guys on the Palm Bay defense like Mike Miller, who shut down Chris Gamble, one of the biggest studs at wide receiver in the state.
It's been a wild and wacky 6 games, 3 days, 6 championship games. A lot of people responsible here at Sunshine Network are director, the Ken Dog, Ken Cavanaugh, and of course our director, Jimmy Dussel, and many cameramen, people making this happen, and of course the players that have entertained us for the past weekend. And what are some of the thoughts you're going to take, James, from this 2000 state championship weekend?
And on this Christmas day, did we not tell you that we had a great Christmas present for you? And as we cap it all off, Sean, you look at the night games, really. The first night, we get a treat of seeing St. Thomas Aquinas and the Pine Forest Eagles go into triple overtime. Then the second night, what most people might call a boring game, a 77-14 game by Venice. But really, you get to see a fine oiled machine at work in Venice and broke all kinds of state records. You got to see history in the making. And then, of course, tonight, the big dogs, 6A, Dillard and Palm Bay going out, and it went down to the wire. We had so much fun bringing it to you. Thank you for joining us. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And we can't forget about the third member of our broadcast team. Charles, what are you going to take from this weekend?
Guys, I'm going to take a few different things from this weekend. Of course, the highs of all the state champions, the teams that won, and of course the lows of the teams that lost. But you know, in a few days, they won't feel so bad. A great sense of accomplishment. I'll also remember the parents, the friends, the supporters, the great school spirit each one of these schools exhibited and had supporting them here in the swamp. The bands, how can you forget those people? Those are people that put in a lot of work throughout the year. The cheerleaders, they don't get a lot of credit, but they support the teams as well. The Gainesville Sports Organizing Committee, all the people here at the University of Florida putting on a great event. You know, I'm thinking of the present. The guys who are playing in these games did a fantastic job. We saw some wonderful football. Some guys will go on. Some guys, this might be their last game, whether they won or lost. What a great place to finish your career. And I'm also thinking of the future. These little guys right here in front of me, they represent the future. They got to see high school championship football here in the swamp, and let me tell you, they can't wait to do it themselves one day. Take care and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, Charles. It was a wild weekend. We saw a couple three-peats. North Florida Christian, they secured 3 straight championships. Glade Central winning their 3rd straight. And there you see Coach Dan Burke as he secures the school's first ever state champion. So we had some old champions winning again, and of course what makes it fun is we had a couple new champions. Pensacola Pine Forest, they won for the first time in 12 years in triple overtime, and of course Venice, the most impressive performance of the weekend, 77 points, setting all sorts of state records. Well, here at Sunshine, I'd like to thank everybody that made these 3 days possible. For Charles Davis and my partner James Bates, my name is Sean Alveshire, and let's take one last look at a wonderful, magical championship weekend here in Gainesville.